Okay.
We finally made it, Nat.
Yeah, we hug a few times, but you're always like running around. I said we have to make these hugs happen and share your stories as the leaders who hug.
That's what we are, leaders who hug.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what we were talking about is even if the leaders don't quite get it,
yeah.
every single person can get started right this minute.
Yeah, and everyone is a leader, and I think that's something that
right.
we want to inspire is that
Wherever you are, whatever part of the system you're in, or the world, or the community,
yeah,
you can be a leader and you can model the right sort of kindness and respect everywhere you go.
Yeah, in the smallest act.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
For me, it's always like smile and hugs.
Yeah.
They're simple, but they're powerful.
And I really like thinking from another person's perspective.
Yes. Yeah.
So I think as I'm wandering around through life, if somebody's not showing kindness or seeming to be really stressed, I'm trying to think, what must be going on for them? Why are they not picking up on the joy and the positive things?
Yeah.
And what can we do to help them get to that more positive place?
Because it's often like straight away we judge people that, this person, I'm not doing this. But if we only understand that hurt people hurt.
Yeah.
And that's why I say like happy people help. And that's why I want everyone
like
to be
that.
happy.
Yeah, that's
hurt
great.
people hurt, happy people help. So it's important to bring happiness and humanity, and there is not happy people who are unkind.
Yeah.
And that's why like happiness and kindness,
they go together. They go together really well.
Yeah.
And hugs and kindness go together so well.
And smile and kindness.
And they can be the tiniest little things, but what I'm seeing is that kindness is so contagious.
Yeah.
It's amazing. If I do a kind thing to somebody, it lights up their brain, and they're more likely then to go on and do something kind to the next person they bump into, and so we keep on spreading it.
Yeah, and that's I think this is why it's important to spread kindness, because how could you change the world to people who have never experienced kindness?
Yeah.
And because kindness does change people.
It does, it definitely does. And you don't need permission to be kind.
No.
You can just do it, and you're not even going to get into trouble.
Yeah, definitely. So tell me about how did you end up starting the kindness movement and changing the culture of the health culture especially.
I've been thinking about it for a good 25 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And partly with role modelling from my parents, who've both been in healthcare for a long time and both treated everybody with kindness and respect. And I just watched that and thought, this is the way I want to do it.
Yeah.
And then I got into some really busy, stressful work situations where I'm thinking, this is quite hard.
Yeah.
And where people were not necessarily treating each other with respect, and there was even, bullying and harassment and things going on.
Yeah.
And it started to feel very negative.
Yeah.
And so I thought about, what's a different way? What if it was a kind health system, which is a place where I would like to be working, and I'd feel really proud to be part of that. And how would we all work together to do that?
Yeah.
The patients, the families, the healthcare professionals, all of us.
Yeah. So just an insight for, because as a patients, we don't often get to see, the doctor's side or the doctor's point of view in terms of, what's going on in the medical world. And it's just, to hear that there is a lot of bullying happening, and, the recent news about, the rate of suicide that's happening for the junior doctors and the nurses, and people need to talk more about this, and because we don't know, if we don't talk about it, if we don't start the conversations, then
exactly, and then you can support us too, and be mindful of what might be going on for us.
Yeah, and that's why earlier on I was just saying about as a patient, I would advocate patients to also create space for the medical staff to be human as well. And that's why I said, humor is the quickest thing to break down the wall.
Yeah.
And when I talk about hugs, and I was telling about how when I first started, people are just like, "Oh, is it professional?"
That's right. Are you breaking some boundaries that we shouldn't really go there?
Yeah.
That can be hard because it puts you in a more vulnerable position.
Yeah. And you know, but sometimes like what I believe in, because I've been going back as a patient ambassador, and I said, you know, what's important is to get the jobs done professionally, which means that you deliver your service, and if you can create the connections, that's a bonus. Because, but I'm just wondering, like in terms of, you know, being able to create that connection or creating that kindness, because obviously some of the medical staff don't want to get too personal.
Yeah. I think it's an individual thing how personal you do want to get with people. Yeah. But I think you judge that case by case. Yeah. And what I always find is it brings such joy into my work when I get to know a little bit more about the patient or the family, and they get to know a little bit about me, and we do understand each other.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just wondering whether, you know, there is I suppose emotional toolkits to help. Especially if I'm going through like cancer, there's a lot of patients. I lost a lot of friends, and and you have to have a toolkit in terms of being able to. And as a doctor, I'm sure you have a lot of loss as well. And I'm just wondering what's your toolkits in terms of going through that.
Mine is about my family and friends, particularly my family, who are just so amazing and supportive. Yeah. And it's really easy to talk about all these things with them. And now what I've started doing in the last few years is doing that with my team as well. Yeah. So in the operating theatre, getting to know each of the individual members of the team and putting some of our, maybe it's our vulnerabilities, but some of the things that are going on in your life in front of your team as well. Oh, wow. So talking about that, and I think it makes a more resilient team. Yeah. That we're so much better at looking out for each other. So if the morning's really stressful and we think there's a bit too much on our plate, we have a little huddle to get started. We all talk through what needs to be done for the morning and how we're going to get there as safely and efficiently and doing all the best work that we can. Wow. And sometimes it means saying, look, I had some problems at home last night and I'm feeling a little bit uncertain this morning. Yeah. And they will go, that's okay, we've got your back. We're all in this together. We're all working on it together. Yeah.
That's amazing.
It's really good. That has been fantastic. And I think that's helping the whole team to, that's a toolkit for the team, really. Yeah.
So has this huddle has been implemented in like all the hospitals mostly? Or is it just...
Quite a few places are starting to do it. Yeah. And I think we were onto it pretty early, thinking this makes a lot of sense. Yeah. And it helps to ground us at the beginning of the workday. Yeah. To know what are the challenges and what are the, you know, good things that are coming up, and how can we get the best out of everybody in the room.
Yeah, because it's not, like, it's uncomfortable to be able to just be open, so...
It can be, yeah.
And it just be so vulnerable, and because we live in this day and age where people have walls, or these days it's about filters, you know.
That's right.
There's so many filters, and you can't get to see your true self.
Yeah. And I think as health professionals, often you're sort of led to believe you need to put on your professional persona, and that's a different one sometimes than you as a person.
Yeah, yeah. So what's your mission in terms of this movement and gathering of kindness? Yeah.
I want us to spread this gathering of kindness as far as we possibly can. Yeah. So in 2018, we're planning to go into as many hospitals and healthcare settings in Australia as we can. Yeah. And we've had calls from the US and Canada and the UK. Yeah. The kindness concept has really grabbed people's attention. Yeah. And I think they're thinking, this is simple, this is something we can all do. Yeah. We're not going to need to throw a lot of money at it. Yeah. We can all just start doing it wherever we are. Yeah. As you said, like leader in your own little space, whatever that is. Yeah, yeah.
What is simple is not always easy.
That's right.
Leonardo da Vinci said that.
But if you do it, if you do it with a smile and a positive outlook, no, it's building, it's growing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So funny guys, whenever I talk about happiness as well, oh, it's so simple, yeah.
Yeah, simple. That's right. Exactly. But, you know, let's all look after each other.
Yeah, it's important, isn't it? Yeah.
It's great and it's joyful when you do it.
Yeah. So your message for the world is?
Gather with us and do the kindness thing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for the time.
Nice to talk to you. Nice to have you. Oh.
Let's change the world.
We'll change the world.
Yeah. One kind act at a time.
Yes.